very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the second half. I'm pleased that everybody stayed. It's really lovely. Doesn't always happen at concerts, you know. Powered only by mince pies, we've just played you the Christmas song, of course. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, and a lovely arrangement of it as well. Really luscious, beautiful harmonies. We're going to play you the one piece of music that isn't particularly festive, but it's music that comes from film. And obviously, you know, gathering around with your family and you tend to watch the Christmas movies, there's always a big film out, and often Tom Hanks is featured, isn't he? Now, it could be one of many films if Tom Hanks is involved. This just involved his voice, and he played the character of Woody in Toy Story. I don't know how many Toy Stories there's been now. I think it's about Toy Story 9. You know, Woody draws his pension. That's what it's called. But there's this lovely theme tune, You've Got a Friend in Me, which has got that lovely 1920s kind of jazz vibe to it, written by Randy Newman, of course, and we thought we'd play this to you. So, not particularly Christmas, but definitely film related. This is You've Got a Friend in Me. Who's your favourite Toy Story character? Buzz. I like Buzz as well, to infinity and beyond, you know, he thinks he's a real spaceman. And there's a beautiful moment in the first film where Woody turns to Buzz and he's got his shaky arms and he goes, "You're a toy, Buzz! You're just a toy!" I just wanted to do my Woody impression. Thank you, Jeff. Just for everybody. Yeah, so there's some wonderful films about Christmas and wonderful music in those films as well. So when you're watching your Christmas films, just think about what they'd be like if they had no music. They wouldn't make any sense, you know. The music is so integral to the plot of the film. Or, you know, try watching a film with different music. Maybe watch The Snowman with the theme tune to Jurassic Park. It's a very different film. We're going to continue with a final congregational carol, ladies and gentlemen. If you feel able to, please do stand, and we're going to sing together Silent Night.
And there's a little introduction in between the verses, so you're going to go after that.
Nobody ever likes to clap themselves, do they? It always happens after congregational carols. There's a lovely moment of silence so that everybody feels really awkward for a minute. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Excellent. Is Is anybody a fan of brass bands? Not even the brass. I think it was Sir Thomas Beecham, the famous orchestral conductor, that said, brass bands are marvellous in their place, outside and far away. Is that Beecham? Sounds like Beecham, doesn't it? Which always makes me, whenever I quote Thomas Beecham, I always think of are you recording this? Because if you are, I'm not going to say his name. So it reminds me of another chap that, a phenomenal conductor, but his eyesight was going, you know, and he was working with a friend of mine who plays with the Royal Marines Band. So they're all there in their ceremonial red tunics, and he's conducting away, and then he went, you boy, over there, why aren't you playing in the band? And everything went silent, and one of the military musicians put their hand up and said, excuse me, sir, but that's a fire extinguisher. This has got a very Brighouse and Rastrick kind of feel to it. It's the Derek Ashmore arrangement of Jingle Bells. You'll probably recognise it, you'll have heard it before. It's got more than a touch of the floral dance about it. And just be careful, because you think you're going to sing and there's a little bit extra to go. So if you are singing along, be very careful, particularly if you're not too au fait with introductions. Any ideas?
White Christmas.
Could only be, but it's got to be White Christmas. It's got to be White Christmas. Irving Berlin wrote so many wonderful show tunes and music for film, and he was amongst the sort of composers like Cole Porter and Gershwin. And Irving Berlin, although he would often write in a very jazzy style, was not very happy about jazz musicians taking his tunes and improvising over them. And there's a very famous recording, live broadcast of Dizzy Gillespie, the trumpet player, and Charlie Parker, the alto saxophone player, who were pioneers in bebop in the early 40s, playing bebop jazz over White Christmas. And Eric Berlin was very distressed by this, he wasn't impressed with that at all. But I think it sort of shows when you write a good tune, if jazz musicians are playing it, if orchestras are playing it, if brass bands are playing it, if wind bands are playing it, you know, it just shows you the strength of the melody, and I think that's the thing with Irving Berlin. The melodies are always tremendous. So if you know the words, please feel free to join in with the vocal refrain. This is I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. From the motion picture, Holiday Inn, of course. We're going to put on a show, boys. That was my Woody impression. Leroy Anderson, very famous for writing lots of light classical music, things like Typewriter. Did you see that at the Proms this year? Bill Bailey, that's the highlight of the last album Proms for me, that was Bill Bailey. There's lots of Leroy Anderson music about there, but at Christmas time, he sort of comes to the fore, I think, and this next number came about purely by chance. Leroy Anderson was conducting the Boston Pops Orchestra, which sounds very similar to this orchestra. We're a little bit better, actually. And they were doing a big Christmas concert, and they realised that they didn't quite have enough music. So the promoter said, well, look, we've gone through the rehearsal, and we're a bit short on tunes. You know, what are we going to do? And Leroy Anderson said, well, it's not a problem. How long have I got? And he looked at the clock. He said, I've got an hour. I'll write an overture. And so he did. He went into the dressing rooms backstage, and he wrote out an overture, a collection of Christmas carols, a medley, if you will. In fact, that could be Leroy Anderson calling now. Does anybody want to answer that? It could be my agent. I don't know. Okay, we don't know whose it is, that's fine. So Leroy Anderson went backstage, turned his phone off, and started writing out all these parts. And the orchestra were given the parts as they went on stage. The librarian put the parts out on the music stands. The ink was literally still wet. He did all the copying himself, everything. Wrote the score, wrote all the parts out in an hour, quickly in his dressing room, and they played it. And it's become arguably his biggest hit. So we're going to finish. You can count the carols if you like. There's about 604 of them. We're going to send you on your way with Leroy Anderson's Christmas Festival. I hope we've helped to start your Christmas in the right way, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks ever so much for coming along and sharing this music with the orchestra. It's a delight to share it with you. So I wish you all the very best for Christmas. Have a very Merry Christmas, a very Happy New Year. Good afternoon, and God bless.
appeal for the United Reformed Church. I would like to say a very huge thank you to Phil, Lee for deciding it back, and the whole of Stockport Symphonic Sound Orchestra for playing for us this morning. As you may know, this morning was in aid of the Church's 2025 Advent Appeal, which is for Francis House Children's Hospice. I'm pleased to announce that we've raised about £180. So thank you very much. I will let you know the final amount once it's been calculated and everything, but I just wanted to say thank you for coming, and I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas.